Mr. Sec-
Start on time. So good morning. My name is Jim Ports. I'm chairman of the Maryland Transportation Authority Board, and I hereby call the meeting of the MDTA Board to order at 9 a.m. Due to this morning's inclement weather and in accordance with the live streaming law, this meeting is being conducted via video conference and is being live streamed on the MDTA Board webpage. All members will have their video active during the entirety of the meeting. To minimize background noise during the call, I would ask that everyone on the line please mute your phones except when speaking. And when it's your time to present, please turn your video on and audio so that we can hear you. And when you have completed your presentation, please turn your video and audio off. There are no members of the public, no elected officials, and no media who have pre-registered to comment at this morning's meeting. And for those of you who are watching this meeting via live stream, we have posted the materials for today's meeting on the MDTA board webpage, so you can follow along if you would like. And just an explanation about my shirt in case any press is on and we didn't know it. We're having an ugly sweater day today. I don't have an ugly sweater, it's too hot, so I've worn an ugly shirt. With that, we will now begin today's agenda. First order of business is the approval of open session meetings of November 17th, 2022. I'll entertain a motion.
It's Mario, I'll make that motion.
Motion to approve.
Okay, I believe it was a motion for approval and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries.
I'll move for
Next order of
approval of the
business
open
is
session meeting minutes of November 30th.
I'm sorry.
I'll move for approval of the meeting minutes of November 30th.
Okay. It's been approved. I'm sorry. It's been motion for approval. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
And it's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Next order of business is years of service recognition for one retired employee. Will Pines, you're up.
Okay, well, good morning, members. I am here to recognize one of our very esteemed members of our team who is retiring, who just can't thank enough for all of the phenomenal work that she's done for our agency over the years and has helped keep us all straight in finance. And so I'm going to read her resolution, and this will be recorded into the MDTA minutes. So Christina M. Thompson, Fiscal Services Administrator 6. Whereas Christina M. Thompson began her career with the Department of Juvenile Services as an account auditor 2 on December 7, 1983, and whereas on August 16, 1989, Ms. Thompson joined the Maryland Transportation Authority as an account auditor 2 and was promoted to the MDTA Fund Analyst 3 on September 25th, 1990. And whereas she continued to build on her knowledge and skills, and Ms. Thompson was promoted to Fiscal Services Administrator 1 on July 1st, 2002, and to Physical Services Administrator 5 on April 11th, 2007. And whereas with determination and leadership, Ms. Thompson was promoted to DOT Executive 4 on January 29th, 2020, and to Fiscal Services Administrator 6 on July 1st, 2021, a position held until her retirement. And whereas she is an invaluable member of the team and her coworkers express the fact that her dedication, expertise, teamwork, generous patience, and laugh will be sorely missed. Now, therefore, be it resolved on the occasion of Christina M. Thompson's retirement from her distinguished career of exemplary service, the chairman and members of the Maryland Transportation Authority Board hereby express to Ms. Thompson their most sincere appreciation for her excellence and commitment, and be it further resolved that this resolution be entered into the minutes of the MDTA board meeting for December 15, 2022, and a copy appropriately framed be presented to Ms. Thompson as an expression of the MDTA board's appreciation and esteem. So again, want to thank Chris. Obviously, we would have given her the resolution if we didn't have this weather, but the resolution will be recorded, and want to give Chris an opportunity to say any words. We thanked her at the finance committee, and a bunch of the members weighed in there and said just very honest and great things about Chris. And I want to echo that you know, she's been one of the leaders around here that's kept our agency running on a high speed when it comes to finance. I'm going to talk later in my executive director remarks about some of the financial awards that we won. And, you know, knowing that we have very complex finances, Chris has done a great job in helping us to stay on budget and keep our agency moving. So I'll open it up to Chris if she wants to say anything.
Thank you, Will. It's been my pleasure to serve the state of Maryland for 39 years. It's been a long career for me, and I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to be part of the organization. You know, I left for a couple of months to go to other part of the MDOT family, but I came back because I love the MDTA and have enjoyed my career there. I'm happy to be moving on to, you know, the next part of my life. 39 years is a long time. And I'm looking forward to being retired. It was nice working with you, with the board members and all my coworkers at MDTA.
Well, Chris, I
Chairman.
just want to say a couple things. First of all, it's been a pleasure working with you. You're, as you know, I've told you before, you're an outstanding employee. I did think it was the biggest mistake you ever made leaving MDTA. I told you that. And I was equally happy and excited when you decided to come back. And as you know, we had open arms for you to come back to join the family at MDTA, and never regretted it 1 minute. You're just an outstanding asset to the MDTA, and I want to thank you and wish you the best in retirement. And I hope you you enjoy it as many others do. But thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, on that note, with that, the next order of business is Canton Railroad. Approval of Canton Railroad Board of Directors. Will, looks like you're up again.
Okay. So good morning again, members. This item is to present on the Canton Railroad Board. You may recall that per our bylaws, the MDTA, as the sole stockholder of the Canton Railroad, we gather annually to elect members of the Board of Directors for the Canton Railroad. Canton Railroad is responsible for their own day-to-day operations, and it's managed by their president and CEO, John Magnus, with oversight by their Board of Directors. We typically do approve 2 directors at an annual meeting of stockholders. And during the MDTA October 27th board meeting, the board had approved Mr. Stephen Kaufman as the one of the two members. And we're now here to recommend a second qualified board member, Ms. Sarah Klein. Ms. Klein is the Director of Front-End Operations and Community Relations for the Klein ShopRite of Maryland. It's a family-owned grocery store business with 9 stores and 1,200 employees that are throughout Hartford, Baltimore counties, and also Baltimore City area. Ms. Klein holds a degree in business administration with a concentration in marketing. She was recently awarded the, hopefully I pronounce this right, MDTA Young Professionals Leadership Award, and was named by the Baltimore Sun as one of the top 25 women to watch in 2022, and was named one of the Daily Record's leading women. And so her credentials are provided in the materials, but they really are quite outstanding. And one of the areas of expertise that the Canton Railroad has expressed to MDTA that they would greatly benefit from is in marketing and being able to expand and grow their business line. So we think Ms. Klein has a lot of expertise that will help to support that. And so I'm here to recommend her movement onto the Canton Railroad Board.
With that, I'll entertain a motion
Ms. Mario, I'll make the motion.
to approve.
Well, can I make a comment, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, I was going to ask if anybody has anything else to say. You always ask for
Yes,
the recommendation
she
first.
serves on many boards here in Hartford County, and I think actually one in Baltimore City. And she's been, her family and she has been very active, obviously, in helping the community. I mean, that's their strong point. Our hospital that many members are here are very familiar with. If it wasn't for the Klein family, probably delayed considerable time. And it's my pleasure to obviously have nominated her. And Steve Kaufman's been a real asset on the board, on the Canton Railroad board. I can't speak enough his abilities to move the Canton Railroad forward. With that, I'll second.
Okay, that's great. Any further discussion?
I just would like, Mr. Chairman, just to add a couple of comments. I've known the Klein family for a long time. They are highly respected in the community. I think that the fit with Sarah addresses the needs of Canton Railroad, as Member Cox mentioned. Business oriented. She knows the community. She knows this whole state, and she fills a void that we need at Canton Railroad. She comes. I highly recommend we consider this, and so I support it.
Thank you, Member Von Paris. I will echo those comments. The Klein family has just been an outstanding group of folks, philanthropists. You mentioned a hospital, Bill, which, yeah, I was able to get some services from. They are just an outstanding family and pillar of the community. And so I think she's going to do an outstanding job with, as you mentioned, John, with what Canton Railroad's really looking for. So any further discussion or comments? All right, hearing none, we'll take it to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. So we'll welcome her aboard. Thank you,
Excuse me,
everyone.
Chairman Ports.
Yes.
This is Natalie. I just wanted to find out, somebody joined the meeting with a phone number ending in 9684. I just need to find out who that is for the minutes, please.
Okay.
I'm sorry, this is Melissa Williams.
Thank you, Melissa.
There you go. All right, thanks. All right, next order of business is contract awards. The first one up is on-call upgrade and replace metal traffic barriers and attenuators. Jeffrey Davis.
Good
Hi.
morning,
New look.
members. For the record, Jeff Davis, Deputy Director, Division of Procurement here at the MDTA, and I got 2 contracts to discuss with you today. The first one up, as Secretary Ports mentioned, is our on-call upgrade and replacement of metal traffic barriers and attenuators. This contract provides for the replacement and maintenance of traffic barrier, W-beam, end treatments, attenuators, and related hardware on an as-needed basis. The work on this contract is intended to be executed via an on-call process. The contract will cover 3 years of replacement and maintenance of traffic barriers, and will be performed at all MDTA facilities with the exception of Point Breeze, because the Point Breeze facility does not have any traffic barriers to maintain. The recommendation is to approve this contract, MR 3035, on-call upgrade and replace metal traffic barriers and attenuators. 2 comments I'd like to add. One, this is a maintenance contract. It is managed by our construction team, but it is purely a maintenance contract, so this will be going to the Board of Public Works on January 4th for approval. And then I wanted to comment on the awarded vendor. So we received a single bid. And I wanted to kind of highlight some of the efforts done by the procurement office to increase competition. So the MDTA directly solicited 825 prospective bidders. We received 1 bid. The MDTA reached out to direct solicited bidders to ask why they may not be pursuing this contract, and we only received 14 responses. 6 said that they had other commitments precluding them from participating. 4 said the scope of work was beyond their capacity. 3 said the subject of the solicitation is not something they ordinarily provide, and 1 said they were too inexperienced in this commodity. An hour prior to the original bid opening, we only received a single bid. The procurement officer posted an addendum to extend it for 2 weeks so we could direct solicit firms again. The PO searched the EMA database for similar projects awarded and contacted the awarding agencies such as State Highway and Hartford County for a list of companies that bid on their projects. Together, they sent a list of 8 companies, and after direct soliciting those firms, there was no additional interest. The PO also reached out to our Office of Engineering and Construction to dig up 6 additional companies. However, they were firms that we had already direct solicited. As you can see on the summary, this bid is 21% over our engineer's estimate, but the procurement officer, with the help of the Office of Engineering project manager, determined to be fair and reasonable based on analysis done by the engineers. It was determined that the bid was balanced and reasonable, and key factors. The analysis, which I could go into detail, I don't have it in my notes here, I apologize, did highlight key factors that created a difference and were determined to be fair and reasonable based on current market conditions. The current contract expires in July, but the funds are expected to be exhausted in February. And in conversations with the Director of Engineering and others in the Office of Engineering, this is a contract that we need to have in place because these repairs are happening, I guess, daily or weekly, and we do not want a gap in services. So I wanted to share that information and then open the floor for any questions.
Okay, before we open it up, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved. I'll move to accept the contract.
I'm sorry?
Second. I'll second.
Okay, it's moved in second for approval. Is there any discussion on this item? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes carry. All right, next up is the Internal Auditing Services RFP. Jeff, it's still you.
Thank you so much. I just need to change out my documents that I have here. Okay, so this one, so we're looking to seek approval for the contract SV 00210-783. It's our new numbering scheme from the Maximo system, so I'm getting used to it, for internal auditing services. This contract is provided for internal auditing services to include assurance consulting services to provide expertise in critical areas through guidance and augmenting MDTA's existing auditing staff, and to also fully conduct audits independently. These services will assist the MDTA's board members, executive director, office of audits in accomplishing their objectives by bringing a systematic and disciplined approach to evaluate and improve the effectiveness of the organization's risk management, control, and governance processes. We received, this was an RFP. So we received 6 proposals. They were ranked technically, and then prices were opened. And we had determined in the specifications that we would weigh price and technical equal, so that we had a lot of flexibility in making a determination on the most advantageous proposal. So we are making a recommendation to award the contract to BD and Company, who was ranked first price but third technically, I'm not sure what else I want to say on this one, except it's a 3-year contract with the option for a 2-year renewal, and that they had proposed an MBE goal that actually exceeds the advertised goal of 30%. They proposed 31.5% MBE participation and 1% VSB participation against a 0.5% advertised in the solicitation.
Okay, thank you. I entertain a motion.
I'll move.
Good movement. Go ahead. John.
Moved and seconded for approval. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it.
Thank you so
All right,
much.
next order of business. New section of the I-95 express toll lanes, the ETL northbound and I-695 ramps. What we're doing is we're requesting approval to proceed with public hearings to set the toll ranges for the new section of I-95 ETLs northbound and I-695 ramps. Carl Chamberlain, you're up.
So I believe we're gonna start with Will. Will, I'll have you introduce the project and then I'll go through the toll setting process. But thanks, Jim.
Okay, Will, you're up.
All right, members, thank you again. So again, we're here, as the chairman mentioned, to seek approval to proceed with public hearings for the I-95 ETL northbound extension project, which is often referred to as Section 200, and the 695 ramps toll rate range setting. The proposal includes a toll rate range setting process, proposed public hearing schedule, the range proposal, the financial implications to the MDTA, the public outreach efforts that are anticipated, and also a traffic and revenue technical memorandum that's included in the briefing book. The board is not voting today on the actual proposal itself, but only is voting to begin the toll rate range setting process with the advancement of those public hearings. The toll rate setting process is anticipated to establish the toll rate range for 3 different time periods, that peak, off-peak, and overnight period that are used at the existing ETL facility. And overall, we are anticipating that the toll rate structure will match the existing ETL toll rate structure. The existing ETL toll rate structure has a per mile rate range with those rates established for the various different vehicle classifications. So this is really being establishing that new range for the $1.1 billion I-95 northbound extension project that began in 2019. And this is necessary in order to have the toll rate ranges established early enough so that our tolling vendors can program those tolls into the system prior to the planned opening of the first segment of the ETLs in 2024. That I-95 extension project that we're doing in that northbound direction it follows on the success of the existing I-95 express toll lanes. Those existing toll lanes are more popular than we even forecasted. During 2022, the existing lanes had 8.8 million annual users, or 3.9 million more users than the 4.9 million that we had projected in 2013 prior to the opening. That's an increase of 80% above that 2013 projection. And so we see a lot of customers that use the express toll lanes regularly that, greatly benefit from having that more reliable travel that came from the opening of that existing ETL. That ETL provided 8 miles, 7 of them tolled, of generally free-flowing traffic between 895 and Maryland 43 in Baltimore County. In the opening in 2014, the ETL brought much-needed traffic relief to one of the most congested corridors of I-95 in Baltimore, and remove that highway segment from the bottleneck list that it had been on for many years. And as we all know, I-95 is the backbone of the East Coast transportation network for moving both people and freight. And so it's really important that, you know, we continue that success with the advancement of this extension program. Again, that extension is planned to open to traffic at the end of 2024 up to MD 152, and the full extension will open to north of Maryland 24 after at the end of 2027. The project in total will add 12 miles of additional express lanes to I-95 from that northern limit that currently terminates at Maryland 43. And it also makes that connection at the Baltimore Beltway into those northbound lanes. We've already had a lot of great successes, and I'll talk more about that when I get into my executive director remarks. But, you know, we've replaced numerous overpasses that were 50 years or older. We made multimodal connections to transit through our parking rides, and have also provided sidewalk and cycling connections to the MTA bus stops through this program. We built noise walls that have helped the community, and have really done a lot of great work already that have been completed under the extension program, along with everything that's included in the existing ETL. So again, we really need to do this advancement of this toll rate setting to have those rates in place so that our tolling vendors can program it in the system and have that all ready to go for when we plan to open in 2024. So with that, I'll turn it over to Carl to walk through the details of the proposal.
Thanks, Will. Hi, everybody. Reminder, Carl Chamberlain, I'm a project manager here at MDTA, and I'm going to be responsible for walking us through the toll rate setting process. I believe all the board members that are with us today have been through this process at least once, or maybe even multiple times. But what I'll try to do is just run through a reminder of how the process runs. And this is beginning on page 4 of this section of the board book. So to get started, so all this is laid out in Maryland law, but really these toll rate setting processes begin when MDTA staff has a proposal to, and I'm going to quote a couple of times here, and I quote, adopt an increase in tolls, fees, or other charges on any part of a fixed toll transportation facilities project, or adopt an increase in mileage rate ranges, price periods, toll zones, fees, or other charges on a variable price toll transportation facilities project. So in this case, as has been talked about, the I-95 ETL northbound extension project and I-695 ramps are new sections of the roadway. These sections were not part of the toll rate setting back when the original facility was open. So we got to go through this process to make sure we've got the rate set for this new section of roadway. To jump into the hearing announcement, that's what we're here doing today. So the proposal must be presented at an MDTA board meeting to obtain approval to move forward with the hearing process. And as Will said, and I'll just remind you, at this time, we're not asking you to vote on the proposal or any additional information, really just looking for your okay to move forward with the hearing process. And then we'll come back to you with additional information as we move along here. Now moving into the process itself, so let's get into the meat of it. So all the hearings and supporting documents, so basically everything that we prepared and used when we were putting together the proposal to justify the changes need to be posted at the MDTA website at least 10 days prior to the first scheduled public hearing. In past cases, and is also going to be the case for this process as well, we post that information as soon as we open the public comment period, and generally that means it's open for, in many cases, at least a month before. So we usually try to beat that by as much as we can to provide people as much time available to them to comment on and read the material before we have a hearing, and so that they can comment on the proposal. Moving on, we also need to provide an opportunity for public review and comment on the proposed changes at one or more meeting at a time and place that's convenient for the public in each county, and this is important, in which the change is proposed to be implemented. So practically in this case, that means 2 hearings, 2 in-person hearings, so 1 in Baltimore County, 1 in Hartford County. And like the last process that we went through for the ALB 270 to 370 project, we will also be holding 1 virtual public hearing as well. Again, we want to make sure we provide as many different avenues and opportunities for people to comment and make it as open a process as we possibly can. So the hearings will require a quorum of board members to attend each meeting. That's a minimum of 5, and the chairman or designee. So what we'll be doing with all the board members after this meeting, reaching out to you to look at your schedules and try to pick a couple of dates that work within the time range that we're looking for, so we make sure that we have enough board members to attend each one of these hearings. And of course, at the completion of the last hearing, we will continue to accept written comments for at least 10 additional business days, and then we will close the comment period. Within 10 days after we close the comment period, we need to come back to the MDTA board and present a summary and analysis of the comments received at those meetings and post that to the MDTA website. Pretty quick turnaround, but we've always been able to do that successfully in the past. All right, now moving on to the post-hearing process. Once we get through that initial round of hearings and present that first round of public comment summary analysis to you, we need to open up actually a second comment period. So prior to you voting, the MDTA board voting on the staff proposal, we have to provide an additional opportunity for public review and written comment. So we have to place the recommendation, the time and date and place of the final vote, all that to the MDTA website, and then open up a second comment period to accept written comments for an additional 10 business days. At the completion of that second comment period, again, another summary of analysis will be presented to the MDTA board members and posted to the website for the public to review. At this point, we can move forward with the final vote and recommendation. So last thing, which I think is important, Will mentioned that we're going to be finishing this process in the middle of this year, basically, but the ETLs won't be open for, I think the first one is the winter of 2024. So we'll, as that time comes, we'll be doing additional public outreach, additional marketing campaigns and things like that to remind people of the process that we went through and the rates that are going to be in place for that time hearing. And then lastly, on page 6, just a quick overview graphic that sort of walks through the process if you're looking for an easy one-pager to refer back to on what we need to be doing for the process or where we're at in the process. You can always refer to that graphic on page 6 for help there. And yeah, with that, that's the toll rate setting process. Any questions before we move forward? Okay. Will, I wasn't sure. Did you want to go through the proposal?
Sure.
Sure. So I'll hand it back to Will.
I don't know if
go through the proposal.
It's a lot to digest. I don't know if we want to take a moment to see if there's any questions on the process that Carl had discussed, and then if not, I'll jump into the proposal itself.
Just one question. So Carl, we're going to make it clear in the communications that this doesn't impact the tolls for section 100 that's already approved and in place, just for 200. But then
that's
going forward, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Yeah, correct. Yeah, so everything for section 100 will stay in place. We're not. There's nothing in this proposal that impacts or changes what's going on in section 100. And as Will mentioned, the current proposal on the table that he's going to be going through is essentially an extension of the existing rate ranges and policies and information that exists for 100 just for the rest of the facility. So I think that's an important point and something that we need to make sure that we make clear as we move forward on the process.
And not to put the cart before the horse, but presuming that the process moves forward and is approved in the same rates that it currently is, in the future, these now are linked as one total project, right?
Exactly. Yep.
I had a question. One thing that concerns me, do we give any thought in the rate setting process of our getting a return on our investment? And I know, I guess it's working very well now, but of course we've had a lot of inflation the last couple of years. The cost per mile to build this section of 95 is going up, and I mean, I can understand how mile to mile you might want to have the same tolls. I get that part, but then you have the connection to 695. That's like that's expensive construction. It's going to be, I think. And are we getting a payoff for that, or is that's just going to be included? You know.
So-
Go
So
ahead,
let me take this one. Yeah, thank you. I'll take this one, Carl, for a second. So if you look at the traffic and revenue report, I'll discuss this a little bit more when I talk about the proposal. But on page 16 of the traffic and revenue report, it talks about how the rate range proposal that's being set aligns us to optimize the usage of the facility and thereby optimize the revenue generated. So there, as you increase tolls, you start to actually have users decide not to take it, at which point there becomes a more or less a break-even point where the idea that you can just raise tolls infinitely on a facility that has an alternative route doesn't really work. So in this case, the traffic and revenue consultant analyzed it and believes that utilizing the existing rate range still allows us to optimize both the usage of the facilities for our customers to keep the free-flowing conditions in the general purpose lanes, but also thereby to maximize our revenue generation. So we don't think that there's a way to just, raise the toll in a higher manner that would somehow generate more revenue to get a better return on investment. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
The answer is no. We don't care.
Yeah. It just we can't make it we can't generate more revenue through simply just altering the tolls. It's balanced to be able to maximize.
So what is the
traffic
connection to 695? Is that, how do you get paid for that? Is it just whatever the length is, half a mile or something like that? The exit
It's going to
ramp?
it'll have the same per rate mile as the
Right, so
rest
whatever
of
that
the
distance
ETLs.
is through the ramp, which is, yeah.
However,
Having money loser.
I will say this, that much of that rampway is already built, and so
Mhm.
we'll be connecting it. When Will, I can't remember, Will, you were either the chief engineer, I think at the time when you came to me with this. Yeah, I believe you were chief engineer when you came to me with this idea that to connect 695. And one of the reasons, well, a couple reasons. One, I thought it was ill-advised that it wasn't connected to begin with because we had built most of it. And in my opinion, we would, benefit, the MDTA would benefit by having that leg on there, but more importantly, the customers will benefit. And now with Trade Point Atlantic in that area and talking about all the supply chain issues, this will absolutely help that entire area over Trade Point Atlantic with supply chain issues. And of course that benefits the public as a whole. So I think it's a great idea to continue expanding on that 695 project. I mentioned it to Will when he was the chief engineer, and then he became chief of operations. We talked about it again, but we decided to do that and extend that part of 695 because I think it just benefits the community at large. Will, I don't know if you have anything to add on the cost or the proposed cost at that time, but.
Yeah, we do expect, I'm gonna apologize, I don't remember the exact return on investment for the 695 ramps, but given the anticipated usage, we do expect that it will pay for itself. I want to say it's within like 10 to 15 years. I don't remember the exact date, so please don't hold me to that. It's not part of the official rate range setting. It's just anecdotal that related to the ramps, we do expect that they will be very popular, used to connect freight from Trade Point Atlantic, helping with the supply chain, supporting jobs, and also MDOT-SHA has a project in their program on 695 to install a TSMO project or hard shoulder running on the inner loop that will connect to the ramp from the inner loop to 95 that would allow users of that new facility to make that continued streamlined travel. So we think that, you know, if you don't do the ramp, it kind of would have a choke point at that point where you're sort of reducing the travel availability, and by putting in the ramp, it just provides that additional connection. So we do think the ramp itself, the two ramps on 695 will have a return on investment in a pretty short period.
I think we just, I understand all that. I guess what I just worry a little bit is that we're committed to this no raising tolls. It's already been a long time and we're going to find ourselves, I think, stretching if that's going to be the case for the next, 5 years. We go by the same philosophy. Not that I'm for raising tolls, but I mean, the highways get more and more expensive, the labor gets more and more expensive, everything is growing, and except for our revenue.
Currently, our financial forecast doesn't show a toll increase within the period of that financial forecast, but we will work hard to continue to maintain good financial standards and meet all of our coverage ratios. But obviously, we got to analyze the numbers and keep us honest.
I mean, if you don't raise tolls, I mean, that limits what you can do as well. I mean, you have to cut down your program a little bit, maybe. Maybe that's already happened. I don't know.
So I don't believe it's happened yet. And like Will said, you got that elasticity point, which is, that occurs in everything that we purchase, right? There's an elasticity point for every good or services that we produce. And so that's one factor. The other factor, we agree that, if at some point it becomes that tolls need to be raised, they can be raised. But you might recall that this administration, the Hogan administration, reduced tolls. And it was for the benefit of the community and the hardworking citizens of Maryland. And we still have not hit that point where we would need to raise that. There's always a point in the future that you may have to do that, as you mentioned, inflation and all that other stuff. But at this time, we have not hit that point.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any further questions or hands raised, so I'll go ahead then and dive into describing the proposal, and then we'll pause and before turning it back over to Carl and see if there's any questions on that. So we are on page 7 of the actual briefing document that provides the actual proposal detail. The proposal itself, again, is simply for that I-95 northbound extension section, the project, what we refer to as Section 200. When we say Section 200, that was one of the 4 sections that identified in the original I-95 master plan. And the project, as to address Member Rosen's question, it is matching the existing facility, the Section 100 region, the toll rate ranges that we're proposing, but it does not alter those existing toll rates at all. The program will include the toll rate setting for those 695 ramp connections that we just talked about, and the proposal itself includes the pricing periods and also things like how we set the holiday rates for the facility. So all of the toll parameters for the new segment are anticipated to be in line with those with that existing rate range for Section 100. So in terms of our fiscal impacts from this, this is a safety and capacity improvement project, $1.1 billion mega project, as we talked about before, that is funded entirely by our MDTA revenues. So we don't have any other kind of grants or TIFIA loans or anything like that for this project. It's 100% toll money that's paying for this project. We'll need to use bond sales to cover the costs of the project. But the project is anticipated to generate $11.6 million more in revenue when it's fully opened in 2028, and that will increase by 2035 to 23.3 million. And there's a more detailed breakdown of the anticipated flows of new revenue from the facility that's provided on page 9 of the proposal that Carl will walk through here shortly. So kind of walking through the pros and cons, benefits and challenges here. The existing, as we've said a couple times now, the proposed rate ranges are going to match the existing. The existing per mile rate range, as we talked about, still is anticipated to optimize the operations of the express toll lanes and thereby have a benefit to the general purpose lanes all the way out through that 2035 period. And this program extends the ETL benefits all the way up for that additional 12 miles that we talked about, but ultimately really provides a lot of benefits already. I talked about, Harford County as one example. Harford County has added a transit line connection to our existing the new park and ride that we constructed and added at 924 and 24 that has all the bus shelters there. We put in the infrastructure for future EV charging stations. We've provided sidewalks to make the connection to the MTA 410 bus line. So this is a program that does a lot for relieving congestion in the I-95 corridor, but it's a multimodal program that provides many benefits to the community in that region. Just again, to point out more details on that benefit of providing the high-speed operations in the toll lanes. If you go to page 16 of the traffic and revenue, you'll see how it talks about sort of optimizing that use of the facility. And that, again, is why we're recommending to continue with the current existing rate range that we have on the existing facility. The traffic and revenue report does note risks that are associated with COVID, just in terms of being able, the accuracy of the study is more challenging, just given how traffic has changed over the last couple of years. However, the traffic and revenue analysis was adjusted for those factors, and traffic volumes at the extension opening are anticipated to exceed those pre-pandemic volumes. So all of the benefits that the program is anticipated when it was first announced in 2008 and 2019 when we were advancing the program, those benefits are absolutely going to be needed fully when we open the new lanes as the traffic continues to grow on the I-95 corridor. So moving to page 8 of the proposal, you can see, I'm not going to read all of the rate ranges to the board members. These, again, match those existing rate ranges for each of the vehicle classifications. I'll walk through one of them just to talk about the most common use, the 2-axle vehicle. So we have the pricing periods are shown on the right of the graphic, where we have peak periods. Those are altered by the northbound and southbound directions, where the northbound periods during the weekdays tends to be heavier in the afternoon, and the southbounds tend to be heavier in the morning, which you can imagine, that's aligns with normal commuter patterns for folks traveling towards the Baltimore metropolitan region for work. It also has the weekend periods. I-95 corridor is very busy on the weekends. And then we have separate ranges for the off-peak and overnight periods that are shown, that both the time frames that match the existing and the prices are shown. So you can see the 2-axle vehicle, the peak period range for Easy Pass. The proposal is to do 22 cents to 35 cents. The off-peak for Easy Pass would be 17 cents to 30 cents. And the overnight would be 7 cents to 30 cents. So that's just one example. But again, those numbers match the existing and are done both by that pricing period and the specific vehicle classification, and then by payment method, whether Easy Pass, pay by plate, or video. You'll note on the right-hand side, we do talk about how the tolling parameters are adjusted for the periods for certain holidays. Within our current operating policy, I had the delegated authority to announce those dates and the pricing periods. I actually will talk about that a little more for the current ETLs. I just signed the ranges for 2023. And it is anticipated that that same delegation would hold true for the holiday rate setting for the proposed tolling segment. So with that, I will pause to take any questions that the members may have on the actual proposal.
Any questions?
Mr. Chairman, I just have a comment. Some of this could be very complex, and I think that both Carl and Will have done a great job explaining it. And I guess they're a dynamic duo, whatever. They did a great job. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, the only thing I would say, Will, is I know you said it a couple times where you said the rates are going to match what we currently have. So, you know, in the spirit of going to hearings, I think what we should be saying is that the staff's recommendation is that they stay the same, because we really don't set the rates until we get public input. So I just want to throw that out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sorry if I implied anything to the contrary. This is only our proposal at this point.
Correct.
The board is not even voting on that proposal today. It's just simply the suggestion at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none, I will entertain a motion for approval.
Well, real
To
quick,
move to
Jim,
hearing.
actually, real quick, Jim, do you want me to just run through the
Oh,
schedule?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, it's
Go
okay.
ahead, Carl.
There's a schedule
That's
that we
right.
can run through real quick just to go through some. And there is, Will mentioned it, but there is a section here about transactions and revenue impact. So I think we should probably hit on that real quick, and then before we get to the vote, if that's okay. You're
right.
Thanks, Jim. I do see Chantel on. Chantel, if it's okay, maybe what I'll do is just run through what we've got here on page 9, and then if you maybe just want to take a couple minutes just to talk about the current state of finances, and we'll go from there if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah, Carl, that was my mistake. I know we have to hear from Chantel and then on the financial affordability, and then from you again on the communications plan, and then of course you again for the schedule, and then we'll have the vote. So sorry, I jumped the gun a little bit. I guess I got too excited. Thanks.
No, we're happy you're so excited, Jim. All right, so okay, I got my mic on. So real quick, so this section, transaction and revenue impact, I'll just go through a couple of quick things that we've got here on page 9, and then like I said, on page 10, we have just a quick little summary of the current state that Chantel can kind of go through. So really the biggest piece of this introduction section is just to sort of point out the steady growth that we've seen on the ETLs is something that we've been talking about here to date. I'm not going to run through each one of these numbers, but really what we're describing here is, we really did see steady growth. The ETLs opened in fiscal year 2015. In fiscal year 2016 was the first full fiscal year of operations, and all the way through 2019 we saw steady growth in both transactions and revenue. And of course, once we get to 2020, due to COVID-19 pandemic, the transactions and revenue decreased significantly at that point. But since that time, we've actually been seeing that steady growth coming back again. We're not totally back there yet, but we've been encouraged by the bounce back that we've been seeing. We are obviously seeing pandemic effects. Will had mentioned that that's something that we were able to take account of during the traffic and revenue analysis for this project. But yeah, we do see that that growth coming back in really healthy way. The revenue estimates, I think this is a nice a little summary of what we see. I want to just describe this chart that you see at the bottom of page 9 here. So we got 2 sets of numbers for you, and we've got them listed from fiscal year 2025 going out to fiscal year 2035. And this first section under what's called the no build or section 100 only. So we basically ran an analysis to show, what the facility would look like if we didn't build this extension, sort of what we'd expect the transaction and revenues to look like from a essentially no build perspective. So that way we could sort of compare pretty apples to apples what the real sort of impact is for the project. And then that second set of numbers under the build section 100 plus ETL northbound extension, those are the numbers that represent the projections that we have for the project. And so again, thought it was nice to show the difference between the two rather than just the impact of the extension, so that we can see a good comparison of if we weren't going to build a facility. And then, of course, just real quick, it's at the bottom as a reminder, the partial build out, so up to Maryland 152 is expected in the end of 2024, and then the full build out, which is north of Maryland 24, is the end of the year 2027. And with that, we have just a quick section here on the current state of finances. Chantel, I don't know if you wouldn't mind just doing that quick summary for us.
Sure. And again, this will be fairly brief. Good morning, everybody. Chantel Green, Director of Finance. As noted on page 10 of your materials, the authority's current financial position is strong. No different than the financial forecast, as you all may recall, that was approved by the board last month. Certainly, we show that near-term projected in revenues and expenses, including those that are associated with the I-95 ETL northbound extension, are sufficient, and that the authority remains in compliance with its financial goals and legal standards, including our legal rate covenant, our debt service coverage policy, our unencumbered cash policy, as well as our debt outstanding statutory limits. And that's essentially the summary. Thank you, Carl.
Yeah, no, thank you, Chantel. We'll just stop real quick for any additional questions before we move on to the schedule.
I have one, Carl, the projections for the revenue, that's the underlying that are the rates that we're proposing here that are the recommendation by the staff. It's based on those rates, not any change in rates.
Exactly, and if anything changed in the proposal throughout this process, that is something that we would certainly update for you as we went through.
I just want to add to just real quick say that, a forecast does have to have certain assumptions. And to Jim Ports' earlier point, that was an assumption in that forecast, but we do recognize that the rate setting process will adjust things as necessary, that this it's only the proposal as we said, it's not a final. So if the assumptions changed, we would update the forecast as appropriate.
Thanks, Will. We'll run through schedule real quick. So this is the communications plan, which sort of dovetails actually pretty well. I've got another schedule on page 12, but they're actually pretty similar because a lot of the communications outreach that we do is pegged to the proposal process or the toll rate setting process. So I'll run through this communications plan, which again is really helps lay out the schedule for us moving forward. So that first block, this fall, what we were doing was developing that staff proposal. So going through all the analysis that we needed to go through to verify and develop the proposal that we put in front of you today. And we are seeking here today, December 15th date, the board meeting approval to commence with the public hearing process. Once we get past this, if you approve of us moving forward with the public hearings, we'll be sort of jumping into high gear, developing those public hearing materials, legal ads, hearing scripts, boards, all the usual stuff that that you'll see, video content, website, the things that we need to have available to us to put all that information up on the website and start accepting public comments. We anticipate coming back to you at the next board meeting, so the board meeting at the end of January, to give you a board meeting update on everything that we developed, go through those public hearing boards for you, so you see the information that we plan to present. I believe we'll also probably put together a little walkthrough of how the public hearings are going to run, so that way you have a pretty good understanding of the logistics of how we're going to go through those in-person hearings. Of course, I'm not going to go through everything in here, but at that point, once we get to the January meeting, it's our plan to open up the public comment period either that day or very shortly the next day. So open up that first public comment period, make sure everything's up on the website and everything's ready to go. We can start accepting public comments at that point. People can start reviewing that material well and ahead of when we actually hold the first public hearing. Throughout February and March, we plan to run digital ads, news releases, social media posts, all the things that we can do to get people to know that the process is going on, to get people to come out and do these, submit comments to us on the proposal. In March, so we haven't set dates yet, but at some point in March, we'll hold the 2 in-person public hearings and the 1 virtual public hearing. So we haven't set that date yet. We need to work with the board members, and we'll do that after this meeting to look at your schedules and make sure that we can set dates where we can get a quorum of board members. So keep an eye out for that request after this meeting, and we'll get those meeting dates set, and we'll make sure we have those available for the January meeting. It's anticipated that we would close that first comment period in mid-April, so you can see we have a really healthy public comment period to basically be open all of February. All of February, all of March, and part of April. So there should be ample amount of time for the public to comment on the proposal. Then we would come back with the final report at the April board meeting. Open up the second public comment period after that, close that mid-May, come back in the end of May with the final public comment report for that second public comment period, and make sure everything's up on the website, press releases and everything, so that way people are aware when that final vote is going to be, and the plan would be to have that final vote in June. So the schedule on the next page is very similar, just hits the highlights of what I discussed in that previous section, so you can see the dates when the public comment periods are going to be open and closed. Just one thing I just wanted to hit on here as a reminder. So again, we plan to finish this process in June of this year, and the first section of the ETL isn't going to be open until the end of 2024, up to Maryland 122, and then the full section with the ramps the end of 2027. So we expect that we will be doing some additional public outreach and education between those 2 periods to make sure everybody's aware of that before those 2 things open. With that, I'll take any last questions that anybody has on the schedule or any other part of the proposal before we move forward with Jim's approval item. All right, thank you, everybody. So we're going to move on to page 13, and Jim, this one's for you.
Yeah. Okay. So let me get to this. Sorry, Carl. I just flipped up to the agenda to make sure I say it correctly, and then I forgot that I got to do the disclaimer here. One second. It's not finding. Well, wait a second. 9. Okay, so with that, we will entertain a motion to go to public hearings for the toll rate setting process. And again, it's only the toll rating process.
Chairman, I'll make a motion.
I'll second Mario.
Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, Carl, Chantel. and Will. And with that, we'll go to the next order of business. That is an update on major projects, quarterly update on major projects valued over $40 million or significant public impact, and that's Jim Harkness.
All right. Thank you very much, Chairman. Good morning to all the board members. My name is Jim Harkness. I'm the Chief Engineer for Maryland Transportation Authority, and we'll be reviewing the major capital projects this morning. And for this report, there are again 11 major projects in our capital program that exceed the $40 million threshold. 7 of those projects are under construction, 2 currently still under procurement, and there are 2 under design. The first project in our list is the third gen electronic toll collection contract. I will skip over that one and move on to our construction projects in the capital program, the first of which is NB 543, or the replacement of the nice Middleton Bridge. We also talk about the campus project in this update. So as you're all aware, this past October, we opened the new bridge to traffic. So that was a very significant accomplishment for us, and we had a great event again with the governor's presence there. Since that time, we've continued with commissioning some of the ITS devices that were down there to wrap those up, completed some lighting work. We also were working on asphalt, pavement, and guardrail, as well as completing some excavation. We have also began demolition of the existing bridge, and then we've since started taking those demoed materials and creating an artificial reef using those materials. On the campus building project, we've commissioned and moved into a new maintenance facility. So moved sort of across the US 301 there to the other side. And we've had a fuel dispensing facility included in that, a dewatering facility, and equipment storage area. So for the upcoming work for these projects, we're going to complete on the bridge project some remaining work items. Includes landscaping, wrapping up some of the stormwater management devices, again, light poles and things like that. And we're going to continue with the demo of the existing bridge. For the campus project, we're going to begin demolition of the existing maintenance facilities and administration building, and we're going to commence building the new administration and the combined administration and police building. All right. Our next project is FT 2651. That project is the ventilation fan improvements for the Fort McHenry Tunnel. Again, this project, there are 48 fans in total, 24 in each of the vent buildings. Over the past few months, we've placed 3 supply fans back into service. We have gone through the testing of 8 of our exhaust fans, and we've taken 3 supply fans out of service so that they can begin the rehab process. So in total on this contract, we've gone through and rehabilitated 20 of the 48 fans and placed them back into service. So we currently have 18 fans that are locked out for rehabilitation. This project, we're still looking good and expect it to complete in April of 24. All right, moving on to the 4th project in construction, that is BB 3014. That's our Bay Bridge all electronic toll conversion project. So this project, as you know, is supporting the AET conversion we had down there, and it's also constructing automatic lane control system elements on US 50. So we've removed the toll booth islands. We've addressed the toll collection tunnel, rearranged geometrically US 50, and we have built the gates and lane use control signals for the lane closure system. So our recent accomplishments is that we've run through field acceptance testing on those devices, those new devices, the lane use control signals, the horizontal swing gates, and the illuminated pavement markers. We've gone ahead and cut all of those devices over to the permanent power system that we have down there. We've been able to cut over from the temporary systems to our permanent system, and we've completed our fiber optic backbone tie-in. So in the next few days or next period here, we'll be in a final integration for all those devices and running through all of our testing on the plans for those. And we'll also be having the contractor removing any existing sign structures that were replaced as part of this project. So we have a phased implementation of this system, of the lane closure system. We have already, as I said, had the lane use control signals and the dynamic message signs. They're in use. They've been in use coming online as we made them available over the past few months. And next week, we'll be introducing the use of the gates and the pavement markers on the Eastern Shore during our two-way operations. So when we're running two-way in the afternoon, we'll be using the full complement of the devices in order to support those operations. So that's exciting news. All right, moving on, we'll have the first of our ETL northbound extension projects, KH 3009. That's the express toll lanes on the 95 from 43 to Maryland 152 Mountain Road. We have a number of retaining walls, so 6 retaining walls on this project that are currently under construction, and they've been working hard at making progress on those. We also have 3 significant structures on this project. So we have the bridge over Big Gunpowder, we have an overpass over 95, Raphael Road, and we have Little Gunpowder, the bridge over Little Gunpowder. So for the first one, the bridge over Big Gunpowder, we've completed the work on the 2 large piers that are in the middle of the bridge, and they are now working on the abutments for that bridge. At Raphael Road, they've completed setting the steel, and they are working on the formwork, the deck pans, installing the deck pans and the overhang so that they can begin work on the deck. And we are wrapped up work on the abutments and completing work on the back walls. And on the bridge at Little Gunpowder, they are finishing up the abutments, and we'll be backfilling those abutments in the coming days. This project, because it is covering 6 miles, we're also on the south end. We've been placing some asphalt concrete, so they're working on that, and they are also pouring some concrete barrier on the outside shoulder at the south end there. Over the next period here, they'll continue the work at these 3 significant structures. And then as well, those 6 retaining walls will hopefully start to wrap up work on some of those and move on to continuing some noise barrier installation on this project. And as well, if you travel this section, you'll notice that on the left-hand side of the northbound direction, there's been work going on in the median. So work will continue there with starting to install some base material for the expanded roadway on the left side as well.
Can I, Mr. Chairman? Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Uh,
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, Jim, maybe just
Yes.
talking about the TL Section 200. There's been obviously concerns on the demolition and replacement on bridges, especially now, as you can see, Raphael Road Bridge. There's been a lot of detour taking place on the, that getting to that bridge. So when will that be opened? 2090, or when do you think that might be open?
Stop it. It's hard to let people go across a bridge, Bill, when it's being demolished, but safety first. But go ahead, Jim.
Right. So yeah, as you noted, this the Raphael Road overpass as part of this project was closed and fully demolished so that we could replace the bridge in essentially the same location as the existing bridge had been. So that is what drove the detour. We have used that model on a couple of overpasses along this corridor, different projects, and then so that was the decision of using that here, was that with the volumes we felt we could get a good project and a better product by having that full closure. So in a couple months' time, we will be looking to have that bridge open. So as you can, if you've driven under it or seen it, we have all that steel set, and again the deck pans are being placed, and so the contractor will be starting to get positioned in order to pour that concrete and deck and make progress there. So we did have a little bit of a condition here where we ran into some difficulty out in the center median in terms of our pile driving activities. We had resistance on that pile driving before we expected to find it. It wasn't in our borings that we had taken in support of this project. And so that took additional time to sort of explore what was happening there. And we had to sort of redesign our foundation in that center median. And part of that was we found a layer of rock that didn't show up on our borings. And again, because we chose to replace this in the same location, when we took our boring, we took it south of the existing bridge, and that rock layer was not present in the boring. However, when we started driving pile with the contractor, we did find this rock, and we confirmed its depth, and so then that kicked us into a redesign, which that led to a delay for us in terms of being able to maintain our schedule. So that's why we're at the point where we're just now getting ready, to look at pouring deck because of that sort of finding that condition and then having to sort of do a redesign there.
Good. Well, thank you. That that's very helpful, and letting the people know that have been subject to the detour a time frame. Thank you very much, Jim, for the update.
So if I'm not mistaken, Bill, that rock that we found was about a month or two ago, and we actually had to close lanes over the weekend to be able to do that work. Isn't that the one we did, Will?
That's actually a different
area sorry.
of rock.
Okay. We must have hit rock everywhere then.
There is a lot of rock out there.
Rock everywhere.
I was just, our chief engineer gave a very technical, precise, and good answer. I was just going to comment that when we announced the program in March, we said we would be opening in 2023. So we're technically still ahead of schedule at this point, but in terms of delivering on what we said. And for the most part, I think the community is managing the detour well. We haven't heard much feedback about that, possibly with the exception of a certain board member.
Well, it's not necessarily the amount of people you're impacting, it's who you're impacting that counts, I think.
I think the last time I checked, there was like 350 people that live in Upper Falls. But anyway, that's good update though.
Yeah, and just we are reaching out, of course, to those direct neighbors of this project, going door to door, just to explain what's going on and set that time frame for them. Okay. There's no other further questions on 3009. I'll move to the next ETL project, which is KH 3019, and that's the Maryland 152 interchange itself. So this project, the major structure obviously is the overpass for 152 over 95. So they are have been working on demo of Old Mountain Road, but then they are working on setting rebar at one of the new abutments, and they're starting to work on some excavation for some of their supportive excavation on another at one of the piers. We also have work up at the Winter Run, the bridge over Winter's Run, and so we're widening that as part of this project. So that work was going on, and working on some of the piers in the Winter's Run. We have completed the second of 3 jack and bore operations on a 48-inch pipe. So that's good, and that may be one of the things where Jim was referencing where we hit some rock. So we found some rock that we weren't aware of, and we weren't able to address it from underneath the roadway during the jack and bore process. So we actually had to do a quick closure of 95, and the team was able to get in from on top and get that rock obstruction out of the way so that we could safely continue with that jack and bore operation. So we've completed that. That's 2 of the 3 done, and we'll be addressing that third one and hopefully not run into any unforeseen obstructions. As you know, it was said, there's rock all over the place here. So the contractor is encountering rock, but for the most part, they've been able to sort of address those obstructions from within, from underneath the roadway, and not have to impact traffic as we, try to avoid that as much as possible, especially in this corridor. Let's see. So some upcoming activities here will be at the 152 bridge. We'll be pouring an abutment and again driving some supportive excavation so that we can drive production piles, and we'll continue with excavating roadway for a ramp that goes to the northbound 95 from 152. And that's the most of the update there for that project. So I'll move on to our last construction project, KH 3024, which is the I-95 Belvedere Road interchange. As you're aware, this project is a new interchange in Cecil County to support ongoing and planned development along the Belvedere Road corridor. So we will provide direct access to I-95 for that development work. And as you know, we had again another great event in October for this, a ribbon cutting at which some of you were able to be present, and we had the Jim and the governor there as well. So that was exciting for the team. And so since that time, the design build team has been submitting their permit documentations for the permitting agencies for review, and we have comments, and we're got those addressed and working through that with the permitting team. At the same time, the design build team is advancing their design packages so that they can reach the release for construction milestones. And we worked with Delmarva for their pole relocation, and they are ordering materials. So over the next period here, we'll be continuing with those submissions and reviews for the work packages by the design builder, and we're be reaching and looking for final mitigation permit authorization from the agencies for an initial early grading package. We broke out an initial package for them to review so that we could have Delmarva come in and get their utility relocated out of the way so that the contractor can proceed and not have to wait for that. So that's what we expect to see in the next few months.
Beautiful. Any questions for Jim? Okay, thanks, Jim.
All right.
Great job as always.
Jim, I still have some.
Oh,
that was our construction. I have a few more to run through. So then we'll move into procurement. So we have HT 2709, which is the envelope switchgear replacement at the BHT. You folks all gave us an approval on that at your last meeting, and so we expect to have NTP in mid-January and get that work underway under construction, get materials ordered on those critical infrastructure pieces. Let's see, we have next our Bay Bridge eastbound redecking phase 1 package 1. So again, you folks were able to hear that and give us an approval on that package. So again, we have a mid-January NTP for the contractor on that, where they will begin ordering their utility replacement relocation items, and they'll start to work towards setting up a casting yard and getting those things ready for when they do the deck panels. And again, major work. The deck panel replacement doesn't begin until next fall. And then we'll move. Our final 2 projects are in design. That's KB 3005, which is the I-695 subgrade. And so that project addresses ongoing settlement and deterioration near Maryland 157, which is outside of Trade Point Atlantic. So this project will be addressing that. Some of the settlement that we've seen there. We'll also be taking this opportunity to address some structural backwall problems that we have on 3 of the bridges in that same area. The project is currently at between the 90 and 100% design stage. So we have had some coordination with Trade Point Atlantic, and there will be additional outreach coordination upcoming. We're looking to advertise this project in April, and we would expect that we could go to a notice to proceed for the contractor next fall. And lastly, we have KH 3020, which is now the 3rd project in the ETLs on this list, and this is the mainline project, Maryland 24 to Bynum Run. This is a transition project. It's going to go from the full 2-lane ETL section and bringing it back down to the existing 3-lane general purpose section at the northern end of our program there. So we are working through stormwater permitting concept approval and then going into site development for this. We anticipate we'll have that in hand in March. So we would then submit to our procurement team in March with an expected advertisement for this project in May of next year. And then again in fall, we would expect to be able to have our notice to proceed for the contractor. And with that, that's all of my projects to cover today.
Any other questions for Jim? Okay, well, as you can see, we got awful lot going on. So thank you, Jim, as always. Like I said, do a great job. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
With that, we'll go to the next order of business. Information technology major projects quarterly update. David Goldspard. Hey.
Well, good morning. Great to see you, Jim, and welcome, or I should say to the board as well. Happy to be here. For the record, my name is David Goldsboro. I am Director of Information Technology for the Transportation Authority. The purpose of this update is to give a quarterly review to the MDTA board on the happenings inside of MDTA's Division of Information Technology. As of today, December 15th, 2022, the Division of Information Technology maintains an active portfolio of 19 projects that has stayed fairly constant since the last update. We are continuing support of the third generation toll system. That will stay in place until the transition to the new program manager is done. I will have an update on that in a second. We have some really good news there. We did receive the final report from the state of Maryland Department of Information Technology for the cybersecurity readiness engagement that was completed in May of 2022. We're reviewing that report. We've sent a list of questions and some items for feedback that we wanted to clarify for that report. It was about 64 pages. It was quite comprehensive, but a lot of really good information. We're waiting for an exit conference to be scheduled with that team. I anticipate that probably in the January timeframe. I don't know if they're going to try to squeeze it in before the year end, but we will be meeting on that. And just some details. We can do something in a closed session as we've done before. If the board is interested, and I can do a deeper dive. But for the most part, about a month and a half ago, we attended a tabletop exercise in Annapolis with State Do It, and most of the agencies had representation from IT. I thought it was done very well. They used the Department of Transportation's MVA group as an example for a ransomware attack, and talked through all of the steps that would have been taken to remediate that. Some high-level points, they're really looking for centralized monitoring of all of our critical infrastructure, which would include, as you can imagine, bridges, tunnels, roadways, water systems, power grids, things like that, but pretty much obvious that we would expect underneath of that label. There is a benchmark that they want to try to reach. It's aggressive, but I think, in today's times, it's probably where it would need to be. But essentially, the state is looking to be able to detect within seconds. They want us to be able to respond within minutes and remediate / recover within 90 minutes or so. So that would be an end-to-end, and that would be for any type of, say, ransomware attack that would happen. Anything that would fall that would require some type of response. There was a lot of time spent on the Department of Health incident that took place. Dennis Schrader gave a really good update there, but I thought overall the tabletop was done very well. I think where we are headed as a state, I think is good. I think it'll be really great to see all the divisions of IT kind of work together and align up to one common framework. And I think once the exit conference is scheduled on the other side of the new year, when I scheduled to give my report out, probably in the March timeframe, I will keep the board posted on what the findings are there and what some further action items will be. I imagine we probably will have some procurements that will have to be done, and a larger list of things that they will want us to put into place to start to align to some of the frameworks that they want us to adhere to moving forward. Some of the significant initiatives that Do It also continues to work on, as I mentioned, the cybersecurity, post-go live support of 3G. About 2 years ago, actually, Jim, when you were executive director of MDTA and now executive director, Will Pines was chief operations officer, we made a decision to shift Joe Quattrone over to the 3G program for program management support, as well as many of you heard Dan Moravchek, who is probably one of the best business analysts I've ever met. It's bittersweet for me, but I'm really happy to say that Joe has gone through the recruitment process and has decided to accept the position of 3G program manager underneath of our now chief operations officer, Joey Sagal. So Joe will be leaving his post within IT as a contractor and joining us as a state employee underneath of the chief operations officer to take on the 3G program manager role. really excited for Joe. I think he's going to do a great job. He's been handling the board updates, and I look forward to continuing to working with him. We still have all the steering committee meetings going, so I will be working with him, but in a different capacity. So just wanted to give the board that update. As always, some other things we're working on, our eForms platform. We had several forms that have gone live. We continue to keep that as an open project, and as opportunities for getting our forms into that platform exist, we are executing that. We did a kickoff for our spatial implementation of Maximo. We had a great meeting with IBM, and that's to support our asset management initiative. I think that will probably go full bore on the other side of the new year. By the time we got all the contract things in place and are able to cut a PO to IBM to do that work, it's probably best that we really go full scale in the beginning of January. Our RFID retagging for IT inventory is in progress. I believe as of Monday, we ticked right around that 90% mark. There's a lot of cleanup that we're doing. We're going through and taking it as an opportunity to end of life equipment that is going to be replaced. I think that we will be in good shape in 2 weeks to hit that goal of 100%. Overall, I've always said I'm a big fan of this project. Jim, I know it was something that was near and dear to you as well. I believe next year this time, a large portion of our IT fleet will have RFID tags on them, which will really allow us to execute a good inventory reconciliation process. We did onboard our Salesforce supervisor. That recruitment was held up with the hiring freeze. We did have some challenges with it. Salesforce is a large platform for us. It's also a competitive skill in the industry, but I'm happy to report that Roosevelt Johnson, I believe, started yesterday. So really excited to have Roosevelt on board. And I think Roosevelt will do a great job for us. And final update, we have our recruitment is underway for the replacement of our assistant director for the project management office. As I mentioned last time, Kaushik Duda, who was our prior assistant director, has moved on to the Treasury to take over CIO. We've got about 14 interviews that we're going to be scheduling probably after the January timeframe, just to give the candidates enough time for plans. And I'm actually happy to say, Jim, we're not running into any rocks with our projects. Good news there. Other challenges, but not big rocks. And one final update for Member Rose in the last board meeting, we talked about two-factor authentication for the Drive EasyMD website. I did promise an update on that. It looks like that multi-factor is not on the table yet. And I think it's because we looked at the existence of PII information in the system. The way that credit card information is tracked is when an individual goes into the Drive EasyMD site, which the back end is the integrity system. They input their credit card information, but it does not go into integrity. It actually goes into the bank's application that sits on top of it. It gets encrypted, and then a token gets placed back into the integrity system. So the credit card information is not there. So the only thing that's really left that would present a concern is the Soundex. As we all know, the Soundex in combination with name can be considered PII. Soundex is hashed out, and the ability to uncover it and look at it is there for the user. So what we have asked the vendor to do to protect against that is if someone tries to uncover their Soundex, they would be required to re-enter it. That way, if the account was compromised, it just wouldn't be an open opportunity for someone to click uncover and get access to that Soundex. They'd have to re-enter it. So we've got that on the table. I think that those measures are sound enough to preserve the data, but certainly we will keep multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication in our purview, just if we feel the need to go there. When we did the initial cutover, and Jim, you probably remember this, we had a lot of issues with two-factor authentication getting the accounts reconciled because a lot of folks were waiting for that PIN code. It was causing issues with the service providers, and that was some instances, even with myself, folks were waiting a few hours to get that second factor to go in. So I think we want to be careful about implementing that, not to create too much of an overhead for the process, especially for folks that might be driving that would use the mobile app, which is set to be released soon. But certainly, Member Rosen, we will keep that. We won't dismiss it, but we will keep it in our purview for future consideration.
Thanks for the follow-up.
Sure, no problem. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll be happy to take any questions. I love your shirt.
Thanks. Any questions for David? I do want to mention one thing. David, you mentioned the RFID project. You said near and dear to my heart. Yes. I tried to start that in the Ehrlich administration when I came from BGE. Couldn't get it through in those 4 years. When I got here with the Hogan administration, that was one of the first projects I asked that we complete. And as time went on, I said, you're never going to finish it by the time I retire. Well, I just got my presentation yesterday or the day before. But more importantly, I want to recognize it was Nick Markakis was highlighted in the magazine, PM Magazine, that is put out by Morgan State University. And they highlighted that project because of how much it's going to save the state of Maryland. And when you're talking about inventory, I think I was told we have $56 million worth of assets that we have to tag and audit every 3 years. And if we don't get that right, we lose those products or those items. And I just thought it was such an important project and such a time saver operationally. And after getting the report, it is just phenomenal. And I believe that this is one of those projects, once again, where MDOT or the Department of Transportation leads the way for the entire state and becomes a model for the entire state, because DGS, Department of General Service, is like over the top about this project, and they're the ones that are in charge of all assets throughout the state. So I believe literally it's going to become a statewide project. So yeah, it's near and dear to my heart, but more importantly, I think it's going to save a lot of time and money for the entire state.
I agree. If you remember, Jim, when I first started 7 years ago, we had a significant write-off on inventory. And I, back then, I think we all agreed, let's not do that ever again. So, but I did remember you saying, and maybe not the last meeting that I presented, maybe it was, but you did say you were going to come back for the ribbon cutting. So, so at least the IT part will be done, but maybe when the grand opening and the ribbon cutting, we'll have a big pair of scissors for you.
There you go. All right.
But that
well, thank you, David. Thanks for all you do. You do a terrific job, as you know.
Thank you. Thank you.
Or as we all know, I should say. Okay. Well, hearing no other questions for David, we'll move on to the next order of business. Update civil rights fair practices, socioeconomic programs. Tia? There she is.
Good morning, Chairman Ports. Good morning, board members. I'm going to give you a quarterly update on our social economic programs. The first, table 1, is for the federal DBE projects, the NICE Middleton Bridge project and the I-95 exchange at Belvedere Road. The I-95 exchange at Belvedere Road has a 23% committed goal. Actual construction has not started as of the period ending September 30th. So I'm sure in March we will have some DBE participation to report on. The bridge replacement has a 15.47% goal. And as of the end of September, contract to date is meeting a 16.14% DBE goal. The campus improvements has a 23.75% DBE goal. And as of the end of September, Utilization is at 26.02% for the DBE goal. We have 3 A&E contracts that are construction management and inspection services. 3049 has a 26% goal and has been utilization as of the end of September is 21.61%. AE 3050 again has a 26% goal and utilization is at 17.86%. AE 3051, 26% goal commitment, and utilization currently is at 17.19%. Moving to.
If I could, Tia, just pause for
Sure.
a second.
Certainly.
I just, the nice Middleton Bridge, I just want to take a moment to compliment the team on exceeding the goal for where we are today. Obviously, the project still has work to do or it's ongoing, but our large projects, it just takes I think at one point I checked a little while ago, there were somewhere around 50 separate DBE subs in order to get there. Just an immense amount of coordination that has to happen from the team and working together with our compliance experts to keep that moving. And, obviously all of our projects, we have to do that, but these really exceptional projects, it's not always obvious, but exceeding a goal by, going well above the required amount on such a large dollar amount is really a great achievement for us. So I just wanted to pause and thank the team for all the hard work on that and make sure that the board is recognizing that is a really great accomplishment. We talk about Nice Middleton Bridge a lot in terms of, where we are with the budget, that we're on point, that we delivered ahead of schedule, that, anybody who's driven across it has complimented the great ride and how much safer it is and all of those things. But I think it's really important to pause and talk about the job creation that the project provided, the on-the-job training that it provided, the great, advancement of businesses in that community that was brought forward through this project. And a lot of that is part and parcel with the great work that our team did to help work with the contractor to get them there. So just really great work all around. Wanted to highlight that for a second and say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pides. So if we move to table 2 to review the MBE Minority Business Enterprise Program, which is our state program. For first quarter fiscal year 23, we are at utilization of 20.61%. We have awarded over $169 million to prime contractors and almost $35 million to MBE subcontractors. And you can see the breakdown by procurement category there to reach that 20.61%. Table 3 gives you the MBE utilization by classification, MBE classification and procurement category, where we were meeting that 20.61%. Table 4 for the Small Business Reserve Program. For the first quarter, we are currently at 1.71% with a combination of designated and non-designated payments for a total of almost $4 million. And table 5 for our veteran-owned small business enterprise program. The state goal is 1% for first quarter 23. We are currently at 0.53%. Again, of that $169 million of awards, we've awarded so far $890,000 to veterans. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions for Tia? Okay, well, thank you very much, Tia. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy holidays.
Same to you.
Thank you.
Next is our update audit committee report. And that's member Penny Ardinger. Go ahead.
Thank you, Secretary Ports. Yesterday, December 14th, and at that time we received an update on the progress of the fiscal year 2023 audits. Of the 12 audits that are in the audit plan under the Office of Audit, 1 has been completed, 3 are in progress. The one that was completed, we received an update on that. That was the validation of waivers, video tolls, and penalties audit. Excellent results were excellent, 98% compliance, which was actually better than expected. So congratulations to Will and team, a lot to be proud of. We also received a verbal update from the executive director on the current status of the ongoing OLA audit. So thank you.
All right. Any questions? All right, they're letting you off easy. All right, next order of business is the update on the executive director's report. Will?
Yep. So thank you again, Chairman and members. I'd like to start off by reminding the board that per the MDTA board approved tolling plan, the I-95 express for those express toll lanes, we talked about this earlier, but just highlighting that I recently approved the holiday schedule for the upcoming calendar year, which will reset the toll schedule on certain holidays to Saturday or Sunday toll schedule based on the traffic patterns for that holiday. On December 3rd, I made that approval for the ETL holiday toll pricing schedule for that calendar year 2023, and that will be made publicly available. I also have an update on the board for the dedication of the MD 155 bridge over that overpass for SP4 Ronald Spudis. At the October board meeting, the board approved this dedication. Signs have been completed, and we've been informed that the family is planning the dedication event. And so when those details become available to us, we will make sure that board members are aware. And we know that you have an interest in attending that dedication, and we'll make sure that you're given the opportunity to do so. Major item for MDTA yesterday, we closed our customer assistance plan, which ran for 9.5 months. That concluded. Since the board approved the 2-week extension of the program, we are very pleased to report that customer wait times were very low throughout the extension, with some increase yesterday on the last day. But the day prior, as an example, our average call wait time for that past Tuesday or 2 Tuesdays ago, or 2 days ago, was 34 seconds. So lots of availability there to be able to reach us through that 14-day period. In-person call and web chat services had no wait times for most of the period. So we are very confident that every customer who wanted to take advantage of the plan had the opportunity to do so. As of December 14th, yesterday, we had $181 million in civil penalties that were waived for approximately 823,000 drivers and businesses who paid their unpaid video tolls on those outstanding debts. And so really great opportunity that the board had provided to customers, and lots of civil penalties were waived, and MDTA was able to clear out so many video tolls for customers. It was great opportunity. We also apply the civil penalty waivers to customers that were mailed in. So if anybody mailed something yesterday, those payments, as long as they were postmarked on or before the end of the plan, we will still honor that. And so as such, we'll continue to tally the final numbers related to the customer assistance plan. We've resumed our standard operations with customer escalations, returning to normal. We put in releases for our website last night that removed all of the temporary features of the customer assistance plan. So customers currently right now are experiencing normal operations. And I checked at 10:30 a.m. this morning while we were in the board meeting, And we are back to essentially no waits for customers at our call centers where they can reach us very easily for services if they need. And we will continue, as we always have, to work with customers, and we'll issue waivers as appropriate on a case-by-case basis if that's appropriate given the customer specific circumstances. So even though the customer assistance plan has ended and we're not doing wholesale waivers anymore for everybody that pays their video tolls, we will continue to work with customers to provide good service as we have always done. Now, kind of moving on to some celebration here. As we close out 2022, I want to use some of my December remarks to highlight notable accomplishments and milestones from 2022 at the MDTA. None of which could have been achieved without the dedicated employees who work tirelessly day in and day out to carry out MDTA's mission. All the credit belongs to the more than 1,500 MDTA employees and contractors who make great things happen at the MDTA every day. And I really look forward to 2023 when we will continue to deliver on incredible projects and services for our customers. So now just some 2022 highlights. So the Division of Finance received the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for their comprehensive financial report. It's also my pleasure to announce that yesterday, Tanya Dorsey, MDTA's Director of Human Resources and Workforce Development, was chosen as the 2022 WTS Advancing Women in Transportation Baltimore Woman of the Year. The award recognized Tanya's leadership and outstanding contributions to the transportation industry and the advancement of women and minorities in the field of transportation. Also, our MDOT Secretary and Chairman Jim Ports was the recipient of the Honorable Ray LaHood Man of the Year Award. This award salutes a man who has led by example in seeking opportunities to advance and advocate for women in his own organization, and who has actively ensured that women are able to compete for key positions of authority within the organization. And I had the opportunity to attend the event yesterday. I got to listen to both Tanya and Jim's story, and very compelling. All the great work that Tanya did to help have our toll collectors placed into jobs, and kind of some of Jim's personal story of pouring in to women in leadership roles. One of the other awards recipients at the event actually had been a soccer under Jim's tutelage when he was a coach for that recipient. So, in his personal life and professional life, lots of leadership there, and just want to congratulate both of them for that award that they received yesterday.
That was just real quickly. That was interesting. Jamie Richardson got Member of the Year. You may know the Richardson family from Richardson Farms, John or Bill, but she got Member of the Year, and it was crazy because it was all about mentoring. And what I said was, believe it or not, I mentored Jamie in a different way. I was her soccer coach when she was much younger, and it was just extraordinary to see her get this award. She's an engineer working at MTA right now, and she's just a phenomenal young person. And Tanya, as you know, is so deserving.
Richardson family are an outstanding family and very philanthropic into the Baltimore, actually in Harford County community.
Yeah, congratulations. Really, really phenomenal work, and just glad to be a part of an organization that supports women in transportation. So needed to help make sure that the projects and the services that we put out are representing the customers that we serve. So congratulations. The Division of Communications also this year, they reached more than 700,000 subscribers through the Gov delivery system. As of December 13th, they provided 786 Gov delivery emails and text alerts, which provide updates on MDTA news, traffic incidents, Bay Bridge delays, and numerous other instances where the public is seeking assistance, including resolving MDTA police cases. Since January 1st, we've had more than 5.6 million unique visitors to the driveeasymd.com website and 1.5 million unique visitors to mdtamaryland.gov. Our email campaign to EasyPass customers was successful by the numbers. Over the year, we sent 4 separate emails to EasyPass customers that have their email addresses on record with driveeasymd.com. Highlighting ways to ensure that their accounts are up to date and how to receive the best possible toll rates in Maryland. Each email was sent to approximately 1 million individuals, and our open rate continues to exceed the standards of industry for email campaigns. The Division of Planning and Program Development led MDTA's efforts on an MOU to swap a portion of MDTA-owned former Rakowski property for Baltimore County-owned former Schmidt property. This transaction has been a long time in the making and required considerable input from our Secretary Jim Ports and the County Executive Johnny O. And really pleased to report that that MOU was signed on December 1st, which we reported out was Chairman Port's birthday. So we gave him that little parting present to finish it out with this year. In April, the Federal Highway Administration also approved the combined final environmental impact statement and record of decision for the Bay Crossing Study Tier 1, which is just a great accomplishment of a multi-year effort to get to that point to determine the location for that Corridor 7 proposed crossing. And then off the heels of that, in June, Governor Hogan announced the funding for the Bay Crossing Study Tier 2 NEPA. The 4 to 5 year Tier 2 study will build upon the Tier 1 findings and identify specific alignment alternatives within that Corridor 7. In September, MDTA hosted 3 open houses for that $28 million study, and just a really hats off to the planning team for delivering on a lot of great work to advance activities at the Bay Bridge. Moving on to another division, as part of our continued employee engagement efforts, the Division of Policy, Innovation, and Performance launched Project Endeavor. Project Endeavor incorporates a more formalized process involving employees representing all levels and divisions of MDTA in a format in which ideas, process improvement, knowledge management, and innovation suggestions can be submitted, reviewed, and determined if they can be implemented. And the first monthly meeting for the Project Endeavor team launched in September, and those are going to continue forward to have our MDTA team make MDTA better together. MDTA's Division of Procurement awarded 50 contracts totaling more than $330 million, including 28 new requests, 2 renewals, and 20 modifications. 5 of 17 procurement officers have acquired their Certified Maryland Procurement Officer designation in 2022, and 2 completed MDOT's Contract Management Practitioner Development Training. So, you know, we throughout the MDTA and our staff continue to make sure that we have really talented employees that are able to deliver on our programs, and really appreciate procurement's investing in their own people. Our Office of Human Resources and Workforce Development organized several successful hiring events in the Central Region at our ICC, Bay Bridge, and John F. Kennedy Highway facilities. And those were sort of tailored around our facility maintenance technicians to fill those critical vacancies. Our entire team has really been on a journey this year that has been full court press to fill our vacancies, and we have brought that rate down. I'm very pleased with the work that the team has done. And they also held a toll collector hiring event to assist employees with placement following the permanent conversion to all electronic tolling. Thanks to the team's efforts, we have transitioned every toll collector into a new job, both meeting their needs and the MDTA's needs. So we really did a lot of great work there, and I want to thank the HR team for making that happen. We've also onboarded several new recruit classes, like recruit class 55, who graduated from our academy and are now serving actively on our MDTA police force. The Division of Administration established the MDTA's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. Through the DEI committee, MDTA employees will receive training and resources in intercultural competencies, biases, and racial equity. The DEI committee will promote new awareness and skills to establish and communicate clear expectations for how MDTA employees should behave in a positive and inclusive workspace, as well as providing ongoing efforts to acknowledge and celebrate our organization's diversity. The DEI committee will guide the MDTA on matters related to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and committee members will serve as organizational leaders supporting the advancement of MDTA's intercultural competency. Along with advancing many important projects that David highlighted during his update, including the 3G implementation, our IT division created a web scheduling feature for customers to use at our MVA Customer Service Center. This web scheduler went live the week of July 18th. And just to give you an idea of how successful it's been, since it went live through December 10th, there have been 5,298 customers who've used the feature and showed up to a scheduled appointment to receive service. So really great work to make things more efficient. Customers love to be able to get scheduled appointments so that they don't have to wait and then come in and get immediate service. And that's a great new feature. Thanks for all the hard work of our Division of Operations and our Office of Engineering and Construction. A number of projects have achieved significant milestones or were completed. In March, we issued the notice to proceed on one of our biggest I-95 ETL extension projects, the $193 million MD 152 interchange project, that is. And the ETL program is well underway with 14 contracts completed, 4 under construction, and 8 in design or procurement. We remain on schedule and have brought really great early community enhancements like noise walls and transit connections. On October 12th, we were honored to have the governor lead a ceremony to dedicate the new $463 million Governor Harry W. Nice Memorial Senator Thomas Middleton Bridge on US 301. Really proud to have the board members there who could join us. And the new span is now fully opened that afternoon and was 3 months ahead of schedule, as we talked about earlier. That new structure is wider, safer, and more efficient crossing for the Potomac River that provides that great benefit for Charles County and our neighbors in Virginia. Over the duration of the project, more than 500 jobs were created. And as another feature of the project, we, along with our partner agencies, worked to create 100 acres of newly seeded oyster bed in the lower Potomac Basin. Just great environmental benefits coming out of the Nice Middleton Bridge as well. So in October, we broke ground on the new nearly $85 million interchange at I-95 and Belvedere Road in Cecil County. We expect the new interchange will open to traffic in 2025 and will create a lot of opportunities for job creation in the Cecil County area. Also in October, a $140 million construction services contract for the eastbound Bay Bridge deck replacement phase 1 project was approved, and major construction is expected to advance in the fall of 2023 with anticipated completion in the winter of 2025-2026. Earlier in the week, we also announced, as Jim mentioned earlier, that our phased implementation of the Bay Bridge automated lane closure system will start next week on December 20th. This will improve safety and traffic operations at the bridge for our customers. Operation has also participated in numerous E-ZPass outreach events, like at Mako, the Maryland State Fair, Ravens games, and many other venues. Also supported by our Division of Communications, and the team is working very hard to educate our customers on the convenience and lower toll rates that are available from E-ZPass, and have had many customers switch over as a result of their great work. In February, a new regulation was established, the entry-level driver training regulation. This set the minimum federal requirements for training of entry-level drivers and what they must complete before being permitted to take certain CDL skills and knowledge tests. The same regulation also provided a path for the MDTA to become its own certified trainer, and MDOT approved for the MDTA to self-perform this training. So we now are registered with both the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration and MDOT in their system to be able to provide our own CDL training. Through that great work this year, we've had a total of 61 MDTA employees attain the course. 16 completed the course, 5 were removed, and 40 are in various stages of their training. We hold that ELDT theory course every month and behind the wheel training 4 days a week. On average, students are getting their CDLs in 2 months from the time they gain their learner's permit. So really great work there. And we think that we've saved, based on our estimates, about $4,000 per student, or about $96,000 so far, by sending them through this program instead of through an outside vendor. So really a great accomplishment from our team. Last year, we also hired MDTA's first Director of Asset Management and Support Services. This division within operations better prepares us with a systematic approach to preventative maintenance and asset lifecycle management in our daily operations, as well as aligning us with MDOT's overall vision for asset management. We've also received approval to establish the Division of Partnerships and Tolling Finance under the Chief Operating Officer, and are working to create a Division of Customer Experience. Both of these reorganizations allow us to serve our mission in more effective ways. In July, we held a rodeo and training and awards event at our JFK inspection facility. It was a day filled with fun and training, and we handed out employee awards and had an expo there where employees could learn about the MDTA divisions. This was our first in-person agency-wide training and awards event since the onset of COVID, and want to thank the chairman for attending with us. It was a really great day, and we do plan to make that an annual event, given the great success of the connection engagement that we have with our team. And finally, a lot there to celebrate in 2022, but I also want to express my gratitude to all of the MDTA employees who supported this year's MDTA Police Toys for Tots campaign and the Maryland Charities campaign. Generosity is truly the shining light in this season of giving. And for the Toys for Tot event, I had the opportunity to join Colonel Anderson and one of our brand new hires at MDTA. And just want to thank everyone who donated to Toys for Tot. It's a really great program. During my time there, I saw one donor drop off what looked like about a 2-foot tall Barbie doll, and I couldn't help but think about how happy one of my own daughters would have been how happy they would have felt to receive that gift. And I'm sure it'll really make a big difference in some little one who will have a joyful holiday for getting that, and so many other gifts that came through. For 2022, the final count from the Toys for Tot campaign was 2,440 toys donated and $1,954.23 in monetary donations collected. So just a really great program, and thank all the team who participated and all the donors who gave. For our internal Maryland Charities campaign, MDTA raised a total of $28,216.23 through individual employee contributions. That is 141.8% of our 2022 giving goal of $19,893. So we beat the goal. We did great. Very proud of the team there. This total also exceeds our final donation total from last year, just showing that we're moving ahead and getting better as we go. Those donations were made by a total of 59, or 4.1% of our employees. So really want to thank those special employees that gave. And we also held several fundraisers, which raised an additional $1,110.41. That brings MDTA's grand total to $29,026.64 of our giving goal. So really great job there. And I, last but not least, want to particularly thank Natalie, Selena, and Mary for their leadership with Maryland Charities. Natalie and Mary, MDOT does a ranking of the Maryland Charities champions, and the Natalie and Mary ranked in positions number 6 and 7 out of 47 leaders. So being in the top 10 is a really great accomplishment for our agency, and it just speaks volumes to the work that our team put in to help exceed our goals. So I really want to thank them, and this concludes my remarks. I want to wish everyone a happy holiday and look forward to having a great new year where we continue to be able to accomplish great things. So thank you. I'm happy to entertain any questions you may have.
Any questions for Will?
What a
Well,
great
all
report.
Yeah. All I got to say is, phew, man.
Wow.
I mean, you talk about busy. MDTA has been very busy as well as the rest of MDOT, but you know, it's just great to have Will leading that effort, as well as all of the employees that we have at MDTA. I think they're an outstanding group, and the state, quite frankly, and the citizens of the state are blessed to have these hardworking, dedicated employees at MDTA, and quite frankly, throughout MDOT. And with that, I also want to wish everybody a happy holiday. I will say a happy and safe holiday. Just be careful out there, wherever you're traveling, if you're traveling. And with that, I'll open it up for the good of the order. If anybody has any last minute comments for this board meeting.
I would like to have everyone have a blessed holiday for Christmas.
Thank you, sir. Okay. With that, that will end the board meeting. So I will entertain a vote to adjourn.
I make a motion to close the meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded for adjournment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are now adjourned. Thank you, everyone.